morning, everybody. I want to start off with two little examples of what could be viewed as poor communication, right? And then we're going to dive into different topics that could help you when you're doing your career, or you're working on your career, or you're working on different educational things that you're trying to do, that kind of stuff, right? So I'm going to start off with the first one here. Imagine an exchange between two people. Hey man, what's your street name? The answer is Little Marco. And you live on a street called Little Marco? Oh, I didn't know that you meant my address, right? Maybe just a couple of just 2 or 3 more words would have changed the interaction between these two people on text messages, right? How about another one? Let's go to the other one. Imagine, and I want you guys to help me on this one, and tell me what is missing within this email interaction. Hey George, and imagine that it's between 2 different people that are working remote in different parts of the country. Hey George, please join this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to make $1 million. Please join the Zoom meeting at 4 p.m. sharp. What's one thing that's missing in this email interaction? What do we got?
The why.
The why? There we go. That's a great guess. That's a good one.
The time zone.
Time zone. Yeah. And the why is not wrong either. The why is not wrong either.
It's once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yeah.
You
gotta make it happen, right? Yeah, you gotta give the reason why to show up, right? But no, that's the other piece. A simple thing as a time zone makes a big difference. What if you're sending a message that you really want to meet with someone that you want to sell a product to? Because you're starting up your first business, and you're having to sell a product to someone that lives in another state, and you missed the time zone? Oh man, there goes, you're going to feel stressed out. You're going to feel unhappy. You're going to be like, man, I put so many hours into this and I didn't communicate one small thing, and now I missed that opportunity, right? That's the big deal when it comes down to what we're going to talk about this morning, which is effective communication. Effective communication. That's such a big deal. So, with the introduction, I grew up in Mount Vernon, right off of College Way here, off of 4202 East College Way. So down the road. That's the address that I grew up at. And I grew up in Mount Vernon, and I went to school for air traffic control. Air traffic control are the guys that are in the big control towers at airports, and they're sitting there with their headset, and they're watching a screen, seeing all these different airplanes that are landing at these different airports and that kind of stuff. How important do you think communication is in that career? It's kind of a big deal, right? Because a miscommunication could end up with people's lives lost. We're hearing a lot of stuff with the aviation industry this year, right? There's a lot of issues with airplanes crashing, helicopters crashing, this kind of stuff. Not all of them have to do with communication, but a big, if you look into some of this information, a lot of it has to do with little miscommunication pieces, right? Now, when I went to school for air traffic control, that was the only reason why I did that, because I took a personality test, and the #1 thing that was on there was air traffic control. So I was like, let's go. Let's go. And I qualified for a couple of different programs that got me through. I did full-time, like the Head Start, not the Head Start, that's for little kids. Running Start, there we go. So I did all that, and I'm like, let's do this. Let's get this thing done. When I finished, I had to wait, and I had a bunch of free time. And I'm like, man, I've got free time, what do I do? And then I entered my career into insurance. My family hated that idea, because my family was saying, hey, you're going into a job of sales. If you miss a quota, or if you miss a month of really good sales, you're going to get fired, Jonathan. And then what are you going to do, right? Why don't you stick to something more consistent, maybe a big corporation or something like that? Why are you going to go into sales? Now, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the daily interactions that I had with very many different people from different backgrounds. Maybe it was somebody that just got their first car or their first license. And I'm like, oh, that's cool, man, what'd you get? You know, or maybe it's somebody that bought their first home. Oh, that's cool, you got your first home. Or maybe it was someone that was coming to me that had been in business for a long, long time and was about to purchase $1 million business, and it's like, whoa, this is kind of a big deal, this is way over my head. But that was fun to me, seeing all these different people from different backgrounds. Now, in my industry, communication is everything, right? It's such a big deal because now I'm dealing with people from very different backgrounds. And I don't know if the message that I'm giving you right now, if you like it, or maybe the way that I'm speaking right now, maybe you don't like it, right? And these are things that I have to think about when I'm communicating to people every single day. So the deal that I'm trying to make, or the point that I'm trying to make, is that communication makes a difference between life and death. I talked about that with air traffic control. It also makes a difference in my world between, I don't know how I'm going to make my rent next month if I don't make a couple sales, right? Sometimes that's the deal with sales. It's feast or famine. But also, maybe you're not interested in going into the business world, and that's okay. Maybe you're not interested in going into sales. But communication makes a difference with your love life as well. I got a couple dudes that are like, oh yeah, you're right. So, communication makes a difference in your love life, in the relationships, the way that you carry your relationships, right? I'm married, and there's been many communication issues that I had, like, oh, shoot, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that you were saving this money for something, I just blew it on a game system. How fun was that? Maybe a little bit of communication, right? So, good communication is going to dictate who you're going to date in life. It's going to dictate what kind of job you're going to have. Good communication is going to dictate what sort of doors are going to open to you in whatever field that you want to be in. Again, it doesn't matter if you're not interested in business or not interested in sales. It's a very big difference. Ultimately, this is a personal belief. This is not anything that's scientific or anything. It makes me nervous when there's a doctor in the room, because this is a personal belief that I have. But I think effective communication will make such a big difference in your happiness in your life as well. That's a thought, not an actual scientific study. But if you want to go on to the next screen, this is what we're going to do today. Today we're going to summarize. I'm going to show you guys a communication model that kind of talks about like a graphic of what happens when you're communicating with other people. I'm going to give you tips for yourself when you're trying to communicate in areas that are super important for you. I don't know if you've got upcoming interviews or upcoming educational things that you're trying to get into, or programs or groups that you're trying to join. I'm going to give you guys some tips on that. I'm also going to talk about what happens when communication breaks down. That's a very real piece when there's some stress and stuff doesn't work out. How do we handle that? What do we do? I'm also going to give you a little scenario to walk through, and then we're going to close up today. So I'm going to show you this here is the communication model. And I want you to think about it where any interaction that you have with someone else, these elements are always going to be playing with each other, right? Let's imagine you are delivering something. If maybe you're approaching someone because you want something from them, right? You are going to be the sender, and you're going to have a message. Then there's the other person that's receiving that message, and then there's feedback. How did this person react to the information that I'm sharing with them, right? Zooming in on the sender, this is you when you're talking to someone, but also this is you when you're texting someone, right? Not only that, but when you're just looking at someone, you're being a sender. How many times do you receive a message when someone looks at you, right? Oh, this person looked at me kind of weird. Or I liked how this person looked at me. Or like, whoa, this person keeps looking at me, right? That's somebody sending a message, just with a look, just with a mirada, right? On top of that, you're sending a message with stuff that you're reposting online. Think about your TikToks. What things are you sharing? I got a couple things. Yeah, I got a couple of awkward smiles. Maybe you're not sharing things that maybe your future employer would want to see, right? Or maybe your Facebook profiles, or Instagram, or profiles, or TikTok. What are you resharing? That's you being a sender. You're sending information out. And the message, pretty straightforward. The message is what you are saying And the message is also what you want people to say, or excuse me, what you want people to see about you, right? I see a lot of different types of outfits on today. And a lot of different ways that you guys, everyone in this room decided to put their outfit on together. That's because you are trying to send a message to someone else. This is who I am. This is part of my identity. This is how I choose to dress, right? With the receiver, pretty straightforward. It's your audience. Maybe you're talking to somebody. Maybe you're talking to a group of people. You know, I'm not going to dive too much into that. And there's the feedback. Sometimes we miss this piece about communication. Sometimes we think that effective communication is just about talking a lot. But sometimes we miss a very important piece, which is how is that person, receiving my message? I'm up here right now. I'm talking a lot. I've got a big message to send to you, and I am looking for the feedback, right? I've got a couple of people giving me eye contact. I've got a couple of yawns. I'm not going to point you out. I've got a couple of yawns, but that's a message, and I'm like, oh shoot, I better wake this thing up a little bit, right? But I'm looking for that feedback. Do I got you? Do I not have you? Where are we at? Am I wasting my time? Or did I do a good job? Did I not do a good job? All these things are playing in my mind, right? Now, here's the problem that we sometimes forget. Here's a big thing that exists in every part of our communication. If we click on the clicker one time, watch, that's it. Noise. This is a very big deal that we always have to compete against, which is noise. And this could be physical noise. This could be things that are distracting you from the message that I'm giving you right now. For example, maybe I'm talking really slow today. That is noise. That's noise. Or if I'm, breathing a lot, or maybe I'm doing a weird clicking thing, like, I don't know, clicking that's adding noise to the message that I'm delivering to you today, right? And it also could be a psychological thing, psychological noise. Maybe we always have to fight against this every single time, because maybe you're delivering or you're approaching a stranger. They don't know you, but they've just taken a look at you, and psychologically, they have an idea of who you might be. And sometimes that kind of sucks. We just talked about this for the first 45 minutes. That is noise that we have to work through. We've got to work through that noise to figure out, how am I going to deliver this message, even though maybe they are not paying attention to me because they're distracted by something going on in their head, right? Very important. Very important to think about. We go to the next slide. So I'm going to give you guys tips about what happens when you are the sender. If you have a big deal that you're trying to work on, maybe you're working on an interview, maybe you're working on your own small business and you're trying to make a sale, or maybe it has nothing to do with business, you're trying to get into a program and you're doing an interview with the directors, whatever that might be, right? I want to get a show of hands here on this. How many times have you been in a conversation with someone, and it's kind of like a big deal conversation, and you're a little nervous? You're nervous about the conversation that you're having, and the person's speaking to you, and they're telling you a couple of things, but you're already thinking about what you're going to say next. You're rehearsing it. You're rehearsing what you're going to say next. Raise your hand if you've been guilty of that. Got a couple of hands. That's a problem. Because when you are trying to rehearse what you're thinking about next, you're not actively listening. You're listening to your own voice that's in your head, but you're not actually actively listening, right? Like, for example, imagine these are two friends here, and their friend on the left, let's call her, I don't know, Brittany or something. Brittany is over here talking to her friend Margot on the right, and Brittany just talking about, hey, I just went through this massive relationship issue, I just got dumped, I'm crying, I've got all these issues that are going through. And imagine that friend Margot over there is really, really hungry. You can hear her stomach gurgling a little bit. She's really, really hungry, and then she says this, oh, that really sucks. Hey, do you want to go to McDonald's here in about an hour? How would that feel, right? It's a slap to the face. Doesn't feel good. So it's such a big deal that when you're about to communicate with someone, try to understand your partner. Try to understand the other person that you're having a conversation with. When I was preparing for this presentation, I wanted to find out, well, who am I talking to? Am I talking to people that have been in business for 20 years, way longer than I have? This presentation might be a little different, right? So it's very important to try to understand, who are we presenting to? Or who are we about to approach? And what do you think they care about, right? Such a big deal. So I work with, I coach a lot of people in sales. Like that's what I'm in insurance, but a big part about insurance is sales and trying to be really good at sales, right? And that's what we do every single day. And I always say this, the best salespeople are not the outgoing fast talkers that just talk their butts off. Those are not the best salespeople. The best salespeople are the people that make you feel comfortable, they listen to you, and then they figure out ways that their product can help the person that they're speaking to. Those are the best salespeople, the best listeners. Because they're looking for an opportunity to say, oh, you got this problem? I have a solution for your problem, right? That doesn't involve a lot of fast-talking, high-energy, intense, used car salesman kind of thing, right? That's not what this is all about. So, the best salespeople are listening to what they're doing. And again, you might not be in sales, but you might be wondering, how can I get into this opportunity that I'm looking for? Well, maybe you have to approach someone, for the opportunity. And how can I help this person, right? Clarity and consciousness. What if, I have to read this off because I have to practice this a little bit. What if at the very beginning of the conversation, or of this presentation, I walked up and I said this. "What's up, fam? Thanks for pulling up this morning. I got a couple chuckles. The name's Jonathan, and we're going to spill the tea today on effective communication. It's going to be fire, no cap." I got a couple chuckles, maybe a little bit of uncomfortableness. I could come out here speaking. Now, I'm a little older than a lot of you in this room, and I don't use that language, but when I was growing up, I had my own language that I was using, right? And maybe you would be distracted from my message because the language that I'm using doesn't quite work with you, or doesn't you're like, what's going on here? What is he saying? What are we doing here, right? So I'm in insurance. What if I sent your family an email that sounded kind of like what I just said earlier? How would your family feel in the middle of a big house fire? Like, shoot, we're trusting this guy, How would they feel? That wouldn't feel very good. Or if I'm trying to approach you to take care of your business that you've worked so hard for, and I come out kind of using language that's a little off, the confidence kind of goes away, right? It kind of goes away. Now, what I'm trying to say is it's not wrong to have your own way of speaking. It's not wrong to have your jargon. It's not wrong to have your own way of communicating with your friends, with your family. But with strangers that don't know you, that don't have your background, that don't have a relationship with you, maybe that's not being conscious of the room that we're about to enter, right? It's kind of a big deal. It's kind of a big deal when we think about that. So, because the other piece too is how do you think I would react if you were in front of me in a job interview and I'm hearing this stuff? I don't care. I actually like it. It's like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, you're a normal person. But in my head, I'm thinking about, how would this person be with my top client? I don't know how they would react, and that makes me nervous. Maybe I'm not going to proceed with you on a potential job opening in our office, right? Very important things. The way that you're communicating is very, very important. Now, when you're speaking, clarity is such a big deal. The way that I'm speaking right now, I'm purposefully opening my mouth more than I usually do. But I don't speak like this when I'm talking with my friends or my family. I actually speak a lot faster. That's my normal train of thought is like this. This is how I usually speak. When you talk to me on the phone, this is how I'm talking. Right? But over here, I'm purposefully slowing it down because I want to speak clearly. Do you speak clearly when you're in a high-stress situation or when you're about to enter an interview or a position that you're looking for, right? Nonverbal communication, another big deal, right? If you're meeting up with someone and maybe your hands are in your pocket and you're just kind of like looking, I don't know, looking just not excited to meet with somebody, what kind of message do you think that person's going to receive? It's like, why did we meet? Why did we set up this appointment if you don't look very interested in meeting with me today, right? Nonverbal communication is a big deal. Another piece about nonverbal communication, imagine if, again, I forgot the names that I used, but it doesn't matter. But if the girl in the red is talking to her friend about going through a massive breakup, she's holding coffee, but what if she was holding her phone and she was like, uh-huh, oh yeah, no, that sucks, uh-huh, right? That hurts. It doesn't good. That's not effective communication. Now, even, I've gone through this where I have many meetings with like business partners or whatever you want to call it, and then we set our phones on the table, and they're on silent, but then the screen lights up. I went to the phone. Because I'm wondering, ooh, who messaged you? What's going on? I wonder what's in that message. We get distracted. And then you're adding noise to this super important meeting that you have set up. Sometimes people might say, but my phone's on vibrate. I can still hear that little zap. I can still hear it. And all of a sudden, whatever message that you have that's super important to you, I'm done thinking about that message, and I'm now thinking about what's behind that screen that just vibrated on your table, right? So, those are some tips for you to center. Sometimes communication breaks down, and it's not fun. So before coming here today, I thought about, on a daily basis, about how many times I get rejected every single day. And it's on average anywhere from 10 to 15 times I get rejected every single day. And what I mean by that is I'm in sales. So many times I'll call somebody and say, hey, you were interested in this? Do you want to meet up and talk some more about it? No, Jonathan, and they're really nice about it. No, we haven't talked about it yet, so we'll get back to you next year, and I'm like, all right, that's fine. But that's rejection. That's rejection. I get rejected 10 to 15 times a day. Now, sometimes you guys might be, looking for, does anybody here have like a big deal coming up, like a big deal appointment or a big deal interview? We've got a couple of nods. I had one of those a couple of years ago, about 5 years ago, where my company, American Family Insurance, said, hey, Jonathan, there's another opening for another office for you to possibly take over. And I was like, oh, that sounds like fun. That's more money for my team, my family, for my employees, that kind of stuff. Let's do it. I want to apply. And in my head, I have a really good sales track record. I have really good relationships. I'm going to get this thing. I went into the room. I did my presentation. They gave me 1 hour. I was in and out in 15 minutes. Because I basically was saying, hey, you've seen me do this before. I can do it again. We're good, right? So let's hand over the keys to that other office. I didn't get it. And I was so upset. I was upset for about a good couple of days. I already had my plan of what we were going to do, and I did not get it. It sucked, and it stunk. But what happened after was a big deal for me. I knew 2 people that were in that room. It was a committee of 10 people, and I knew 2 people in that room. And after my emotions calmed down, that's such a big key thing. Because if you're asking for feedback when you're still shaking because you're mad, or you're upset because the conversation didn't go your way, it doesn't go over well. I let some time go by, I chilled out, and I was like, hey, what happened? Why did I not get it? Why did I get looked over, or what happened? And I got feedback on how I communicated the message, because my message was too simple. I didn't keep in mind what the people that in that room, what they were looking for. And I got looked over for that opportunity. But I learned from it, because I took that feedback and I tried to figure out, all right, how can we move on from this? I have been in situations where I'm interviewing people for different positions to join my team. And in my head, I'm like, you're so close to a yes. But I'm going to have to say no for now. And in my head, I say, if that person gets back to me, asking for feedback, I'm going to take it. Because that speaks so much about that person's character. And guess what? It hasn't happened yet. It hasn't happened yet. So I want you guys to think about this. And this is something that I would tell myself in the past as well, but I'm telling you guys this now. Don't miss opportunities that you've been rejected for. You could probably still have them, or you can take something from that missed opportunity if you ask for feedback when it did not go your way. Such a big deal. Such a big deal. So, and even if you don't get what you were ultimately looking for, you grow from it. Because you get some feedback, oh shoot, I didn't realize that I fill in the blank. Maybe I chewed I had gum and I was chewing a bunch of gum, like I forgot about that. I don't know, I said something stupid with that, but you get the point, right? You get the point. You will get some feedback that maybe you can grow from, right? The same thing with when you're working with different teammates on different projects or different co-workers that you're working with, that kind of stuff. Sometimes a teammate might make you really mad. Like, man, why are you asking me to do this? Why are you asking me to do that? That kind of stuff. But, try to find common ground. Try to find common ground, because you never know where that teammate will be 10 years from now. And if you burnt that bridge, that's not fun. Not fun. Effective communication, even when things are not going your way, is so important, right? Funny story, when I walked in here, I recognized the photographer. I was like, Lorena, wow, what's going on here? Yeah, and when I thought, instantly in my head, I kind of thought about it. I was like, hopefully I wasn't mean to her in high school. Hopefully I wasn't, like, how was I? That's what was going in my head. But, once we get older, we start to realize, let's try to be nice. Let's try to effectively communicate with people, even if they're not from the same backgrounds. Because who knows what room they will be in the future, right? Such a big deal. So, let's try a little exercise here. Want to go to the next one? I'm going to give you guys a scenario, and I want you to be in the shoes here, and I'm going to ask for a show of hands and try maybe one or two people to give me the right answers, that kind of thing. So imagine that you are working for a company, it's your dream job, right? And you need to deliver a large report to your client. You need to deliver a large report. It's a massive, massive report. And it has a due date, and that due date was 3 days ago. So your due date has passed. And this could cost you $10,000, right? Big deal, personally. It could cost you a lot of money. And it was an honest mistake, because you got so wrapped up in other projects that you just forgot about this thing, right? So what is the best thing that we can do? This is option number one. You don't say anything at all. Since the client hasn't called you yet, so you're like, whew, no one's called me yet, maybe I can get away with this, right? So if you scramble, you can get this done in 2 days, and you'll be good. That's option one. Option two, call the client right away. As soon as you found out what happened, you call the client right away. You let them know about the mistake, but you let them know these are the steps that I'm going to take to get you the thing that I promised you were going to get. It's option two. Option three, you take that, you said you were going to make $10,000 bucks, you're just going to give them to them right away. You refund the money and say, I screwed up, I'm so sorry, and not even pick up the phone when they call. I'm done. I messed it up, right? So which one of these options do you feel is the best? And I want you to tell me why, okay? Who feels good? Take some time to think about it, or if we've got a couple of answers, couple of hands, go ahead.
I will take the number two, because you've been honest, and you are telling that you didn't see it, and they might forgive you and still give you a chance to still do the project.
You got it. 100% correct. That is correct. I have been in many situations like that in my life, and I've tried all three of these, right? I've tried all three of them. And option one really sucks, because when I'm scrambling to try to get this thing done, how do you think I'm sleeping at night? I'm tossing and turning. I'm like, oh shoot. Every time the phone rings, I'm like, oh, is it that guy? And it does not feel good. And it just, oh gosh, I'm losing sleep, I'm stressed out of my mind. Option three, maybe you did the right thing by just returning the money and moving on, but that person's going to talk about that experience for a very long time. And remember, you don't know what room you might be in, but what if that was such a sour experience that people already know what you're capable of just ghosting. Ghosting is super common nowadays, right? Oh, I'm not going to do this is too hard, so this person's gone. Very, very important, because that, even though you might be gone from the interaction, the trace of it is still there with the other person that received the message that you sent. By you doing that, you're sending a message. It's not the most positive message, right? And option two is, it's the right answer, right? We're human beings. About 98% of people are nice enough to understand that we're all imperfect, we make mistakes, and let's figure this out. And if you actually deliver on that promise, that person will remember you. Yeah, he screwed up a little bit, but he freaked out about it, he called me, he was up front, he had the hard conversation with me, and we're good, right? Again, very, very important. So, with communication, you guys are making choices every single day. At the very beginning, I told you that, right? Like, you're making choices by what you're communicating online. I don't know if this is right for me to say or not, but I will say it because this is the truth. Whenever I get a resume, I do review the resume real fast. I'm not a big details guy. My office manager is. She's super detailed. So she'll pull apart your resume from here to there. I'm not very detailed. I'll just kind of scan it. Yeah, it looks pretty good. But right away, I'm doing a Google search on you. And I'm Googling everything about you. And I'll spend 5 minutes Googling you. I'll look at what you're posting on social media. I'll look at what's going on. Right? And guess what? I'm not the only one that's doing that. I'm not the only one that's doing that. Because in my head, I can Google you, so can my top clients. And I don't want to get that phone call from a top client that says, hey, I'm sorry, this person that helped me out in my office, for some reason they popped up on some video on YouTube or something, or on TikTok or whatever. Not a fun conversation, right? And it's far too common right now. So that's it. That's what we had. That's what I had prepared for you guys today. I want you guys to really, a big part of communication, reach out for any sort of help or questions that you've got. If you're working on something, or if you're about to, there's a big goal that you guys have. Any goal that you have will require some sort of communication, right? It's going to require that. Now, I said this a couple times already. I am in the sales world. Effective communication in the sales world is so important. Super, super important, the way that I communicate with people that I'm trying to sell my product to. Very, very important. But I want you to also think about this, that everything in life is actually sales. I'll explain that for you in just a second. Everything in life is actually sales. Again, you might not be interested in going into the business world, or you might not be interested in selling anything. That might freak you out, or that's just not your personality. That's okay. But everything in your life has to do with communicating something. And that's sales. That's sales, You're selling your ideas to other people all the time. All the time you're selling your ideas to somebody else. You're selling your talent, or the way that you operate in an academic setting, or in a professional, non-academic setting. The way that you do your work, you're selling yourself, right? Because maybe that person will want to take you on board to join a project that you guys are working on academically, or get you growth. Now, effective communication and growth, it's important to achieve any goals that you have in life, because we are in communities every single day. And when we're in a community every single day, either a community at work, a community in your neighborhood, a community in your school, we've got to interact with each other. We have no choice. We have to interact with each other. So I'll wrap up with this. I remember one time when I first started, I started my career in the insurance industry really young. I think I was 18 or 19 after school, because I did the running start stuff. And I thought to myself, I'm really young and I'm approaching people that are much older than me, So let me try to overcompensate and try to be as super professional as I possibly can. So let me get myself a suit, I'm gonna put my tie up, and I'm gonna just try to be super professional. And I kind of pulled off the uber professionalism, right? But there was one person that I sold a product to, it was insurance, right? And at the end, I vibed with this guy. And it was really fun, and I was kind of laughing a little bit towards the end. And I said, hey, can I get some feedback from you? Like, well, what'd you think? Like, what'd you think about the way that I ran through this? And he gave me one advice, which all he said was, I think you're gonna go a lot further if you chill out and be more yourself. Just be yourself. And I think you're gonna do a lot better. And so that helped me realize, and that's something that you should keep in mind as well, is that let your personality shine. We're all individuals. We all have different ways that make you unique, right? But keep in mind some of the framework that makes effective communication, but be yourself, right? That's such a big deal. Yeah, think about the framework, think about some of the pitfalls, because even though that we're ourselves and we're all, trying to have a good time, but there's still going to be friction. Stuff falls apart sometimes. So you can still be yourself and keep in mind some of these things, and then doors will open up for you in no time. So that's it. That's my presentation. I don't know if anybody has any questions or anything. Or I don't know if we have time for questions, or maybe one or two or three. Or
we can do some questions.
Yeah. Any questions on anything at all? Like nothing's off topic here, or nothing's off limits. I think I tried for a reason. No, maybe. No, you're good. Okay. Yeah, don't look back. It was you. Yeah, it was you. Yeah. No questions. Okay, very good. So yeah, again, this is my cell phone. Text me or call me at any time. That's my email as well. I appreciate your guys' time.